Bonneville is like the backside of the moon. Driving at Bonneville at very high speeds is like driving in slush. But the passion of racing on the salt is something that once you've done it, once you've been there,
a lot faster.
Anybody that wants to go fast really feels compelled to do it. Follow your passion. You know, do what your heart tells you to do. And I started racing. Starting out, I was building engines for a drag race team running a turbo coupe Thunderbird. We did well. We won Indianapolis a couple of times. We set national records. And one day, one of these guys came in and said, "Hey, I understand there's a new class at Bonneville for our type of car, a turbocharged four-cylinder car. Why don't you fly out there and check it out?" Well, on a whim, I did it, and I got bit. I got the bug, and it's called salt fever. So I made a commitment to do it myself and went looking for a Mercure, which was the most aerodynamic car that Ford made at the time. I had the support of a couple of friends to help build the car initially. With hardware and time, the Mercure was on the salt the first year in '91. Taking the Mercure out the first time and the first few years was a neat experience in the fact that the car was very well done. And my peers, my fellow racers, and the tech inspectors, they loved it. We set a record that year, and I've been going back every year since then. The story behind wanting to do a big car, a streamliner, comes from after I got into the 200-mile-an-hour club in '98. A fellow named Don Vesco, one of my heroes, said to me, quote, "I wonder how fast 444 would go with your little turbocharged engine." We had talked about it. 444 is a streamliner that his father built back in the 60s, and it's been rebuilt a number of times. That deal didn't work out, and I decided at that time that I needed to do it myself. With my wife's help, I made the decision to get rid of the Mercure and move on to build a streamliner. The goal was to go over 300 miles an hour. My goal then was, I just want to go faster, and 300 was a nice number. Now my goals have expanded a little bit because of how competitive things have become. Now the goal is to go 300 with a naturally aspirated 3-liter engine. It's a very lofty goal, but I'll do it just like I went 200. Ford decided in 2006 that they wanted to demonstrate the technology of hydrogen fuel cells. You know, the story kind of is one of my friends who's a motorcycle streamliner pilot was at a motorbike party and ran into an old friend from his road racing days. And in discussion, he said, "Hey, I'm with Roush now, and we're helping Ford with a deal that they're talking about wanting to do a Bonneville car with fuel cells, an electric car. Do you know anybody? We need a consultant." My friend Gary came up with, "How about Ricky Byrnes?" A year went by, and out of the clear blue, I get this phone call from the same Roush guy saying, "Would you still be interested?" Of course I would. You know, to get paid to do what I love to do. So this time it was a series of interviews. The Ford manager of the fuel cell group interviewed me and thought it was a great idea that the driver of the car also be an ex-Ford person. So they contracted me to consult and to drive the car. As you would expect, I was in heaven. The fusion program was probably one of the most complex mechanical, electrical, chemical things that I've ever been exposed to. But the group of people working on it were so dedicated and so knowledgeable, it made it a lot of fun. When I was contacted in February of 2007, they basically had 6 months to build a car. And 6 months to build a car is unheard of, particularly something that complex. And they were hiring me to help them get through the problems with Bonneville and the issues with running a hydrogen-powered car. The Roush people basically built the car. The Ford people handled all of the fuel cell operation and the integration of the two. So Ford completely did all of the powertrain and all of the integration. We were testing the car by July 1st. By the time the testing phase was done, we knew the car would go 200 miles per hour. When we went racing, and they saw the quality of the car and the fact that it actually worked. Our competitors liked it. My peers liked it. When we went fast, they really liked it. All in all, it was a very, very good project that was well thought out by Ford, very well presented, and I think very successful. My passion is racing on the salt, and I want to go 300 miles an hour on the salt. And I want to do it in this car, properly designed. I want to do it safely. I want to be as professional as I was when I was working with Ford. If you're the sponsor, and I'm trying to convince you that you need to help me, you need to understand that I've designed, built, and driven both production cars, experimental cars, and streamliners, and done all of those very successfully.